Sit down.
Gaby's stepfather returned to terrorize her again.
I remember those nights in your room, baby.
This is one of the most shocking scenes in the whole series. In a few seconds, Gabrielle's mask falls apart. She isn't witty or glamorous, she's terrified. And this is the real starting point if we want to understand her in Desperate Housewives. We usually see Gabrielle Solis as flashy, selfish, always perfect. Her life looks like one endless party. Dresses, cars, money, man. From the outside, it seems like she has everything. But that shine is not happiness. It's armor, a shield she built because she had to. Her story doesn't begin with glamour. It begins with poverty, abuse, and shame. In that moment with Alejandro, she turns back into a frightened little girl.
Sit down.
Gaby's stepfather returned to terrorize her again.
I remember.
Unprotected and cornered. Her whole adult life, the dresses, the houses, the luxury, is really just a wall. Every brick in that wall is money, control, and the illusion of safety. People often say she married Carlos for his money. That's not really true. She wasn't buying jewelries. She was buying protection. After growing up in chaos, she made a clear, cold choice. Carlos could give her what no one else ever did: stability, a family name, and a house in a safe neighborhood.
Because Carlos can provide, John. He will give this baby everything. Piano lessons and summer camp and the best colleges. He can raise this child the way a child deserves to be raised. You can't.
This is why she resisted the idea of children in the beginning. To Gaby, kids didn't mean joy. They meant risk. She had lived through what it was like to grow up unprotected, and deep down she feared passing that same pain onto her family. Later, when she does become a mother, those fears surface in unexpected ways. Even the smallest things can set off her anxiety, like the school's animal test with Juanita.
My kids are my calling card. They're what I have to show for myself. I don't have a career, Susan. My kids are my job. And whatever happens, if they succeed or they don't succeed, it's because of how I raised them.
To the outside world, the scene plays like comedy, but for Gaby it's deadly serious. She sees it as the difference between her daughter being somebody and nobody, exactly the way she once felt. But Gaby's deepest wound is not only the abuse, it is the silence around it. She tried to speak. She told a nun at her school about what happened, but the nun dismissed her, saying she had a big imagination. That rejection was crushing. Abuse is trauma, yes, but worse is when nobody believes.
I told you what was happening with my stepfather.
Yes, you had a big imagination. Most likely from all of those trashy books and magazines you used to sneak into class.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Later, when Carlos finally confronts Gaby's mother about the abuse, the response is even more devastating. Instead of protecting her, her mother shifts the blame onto Gaby herself.
But it was Gabriela who seduced him. She was always jealous of me. Believe me, no one got raped. It took me so many years to forgive her.
This is perhaps the most painful moment of all. The person who should have loved her unconditionally refuses to see a little child as a victim. Instead, she accuses her own daughter of seduction, as if the child was responsible for a grown-up man. For Gaby, this is not just a betrayal. It is the destruction of trust at the deepest level. From that point on, she carries her mother's voice inside her, a cruel voice that whispers, "No one will ever believe you. You are nothing. You are not safe." So how does Gaby survive? She learns to play games. She manipulates. She uses her looks. It wasn't fun for her, it was survival. Her charm becomes her defense. Every smile, every dress, every joke, they are ways to control the world before it can hurt her again. When Gaby finally tries therapy, of course she resists. She doesn't want to talk. Talking means going back to the betrayal, and that scar never healed. She is willing to do anything, pills, hypnosis, even an exorcism, as long as she doesn't have to face the truth in words.
You're supposed to be in therapy.
This is therapy. Massage therapy, aromatherapy.
You haven't been back since the first session. Why not?
This is really helping.
No, this is ignoring the problem.
Of course, this avoidance spills over into her marriage. How does someone who grew up as a victim build a relationship? Usually, they either surrender completely or they fight for control. Gaby chose control. When Carlos loses his sight, the power dynamics flips. Gaby suddenly holds the upper hand and she uses it. At times, she even humiliates him in public, using his weakness to feel strong.
Is that your Aston Martin in the handicap space?
What? Oh my God! You're exploiting my blindness so that you can score better parking?
And there are even moments when she goes even further, using secrets as leverage. She reminds Carlos of his mistakes, even blackmails him to keep him from leaving.
When you have a secret bank account in the Cayman Islands.
Hey, isn't that why the prosecution didn't have a case against you? So if I were you, Carlos, I wouldn't mention the words divorce, postnup, ever again.
These scenes show the shadow of her trauma. As a child, she was powerless. As an adult, she makes sure no one can ever control her again. Her survival strategy becomes domination. She takes the role of the aggressor to escape the role of the victim. But this survival tactic comes with a cost. It damages intimacy. It keeps her armored, even with the man who loves her. For years, Gaby swore she didn't want children, and in many ways that was true. Kids meant risk. Kids meant responsibility. Kids meant vulnerability. But when she finally does become a mother, something shifts. At first, her love is clumsy. She tries to repair her own lost childhood by spoiling her daughters with symbols of wealth, like giving them designer bags.
You bought an 8-year-old girl a $1,400 purse. You have no right to give Grace expensive gifts.
Yes, I do.
Why?
Because she was supposed to have all this stuff. We were supposed to give it to her.
It may look shallow, but for Gaby, it's not about the bag. It's about saying, this girl is mine, and I will protect her. She will not feel as poor, as unwanted, as invisible as I once did. Later, there is even a moment with Juanita that shows just how deep this change goes. She looks at her daughter and sees the same little baby she once bathed in a sink.
You're growing up so fast. Oh, honey, a part of me still sees you as this cute little baby I used to bathe in the sink. But every day you're getting stronger and smarter.
This is not the voice of a diva. This is the voice of a mother finally touching the part of herself that never got love. In that moment, she connects to her own inner child. She sees innocence, and instead of running from it, she embraces it. But even as Gaby grows, her past keeps coming back. Alejandro's abuse doesn't just haunt her, it leads her to his death at Carlos's hands, and with that, a new layer of trauma begins. Now she and the other women carry a collective secret, one they can never confess.
We are never gonna be able to tell anybody about this, are we? No.
This pact ties them together, but it also isolates them. The past can't be erased. The secret is another burden, a reminder that trauma never disappears. It only changes shape. So what finally saved Gaby? Not diamonds, not luxury, not status. What saved her was love, the chance to protect her children and to let Carlos stand by her side when the truth came out. Unlike her mother, Carlos chose to believe her. Unlike the nun, he didn't dismiss her pain, and that was the turning point. For the first time, she didn't have to carry the burden alone. Her mother's voice told her she was nothing. Motherhood gave her a new voice, one that said she could protect, she could love, and she could heal. This is the real story of Gabrielle Solis. Yes, she had many dresses in her closet, but behind the sparkle, there was always a little girl, and that little girl wanted only one thing: to feel safe. From a psychoanalytic view, Gaby's life is a story of trauma and defense. Abuse created shame. The silence of adults turned that shame into a wound she carried for years. To survive, she built defenses: glamour, control, manipulation. But motherhood cracked the armor. By loving her daughters, she touched the wounded child inside herself. That is what, for instance, Freud or Kohut might call the healing of a narcissistic wound, when the shield finally gives way to genuine connection. In the end, Gabrielle Solis is not just a glamorous character. She is a portrait of survival. She knows how trauma shapes desire and relationships, and also that healing is possible, not by erasing the past, but by finding new ways to love in the present. Gaby's survival strategy through glamour takes us straight to her narcissistic wound. Beauty became her currency, her shield, and her proof of value. And in the next chapter, we will see how that wound shaped her obsession with appearance, her dependence on male approval, and her desperate need of constant confirmation.